Why, oh why, does the Xbox always fail in Japan? Stay tuned.
Hello guys, don't forget to like this video, don't forget to subscribe, and hit that little bell right there so that you can get notifications every time I upload a video, okay? Enjoy.
Hey, what is up guys? This is Andy Matrix from andyartstv. Today we're going to talk about why the Xbox doesn't seem to make it in Japan. I mean, have you ever noticed that the Xbox has little to no Japanese titles, right? Little to no Japanese titles. You know, a good example would be, when Final Fantasy VII Remake came out, which is a Square Enix company, which is a Japanese company, which is a Square Enix game, which is a Japanese company. Final Fantasy VII Remake came out exclusively for the PlayStation. I think later down the line, it came for the Xbox. And first I want to go over some statistics, okay, before I explain why. So first of all, I went over to Reddit. I saw they had a question: why does the Xbox always do poorly in Japan? They say history shows that every attempt that Microsoft has had to quell the Japanese market has failed miserably. There is a good reason for this. And also, I looked up how many copies has Xbox sold in Japan, and right off the bat, all these websites, like a whole bunch of results, they say 100,000 units. All right, this is from Game Revolution. I'm just doing a quick Google search. It says from January 27th to February of 2020. No, excuse me. Xbox has sold over 100,000 units in Japan in contracts. Yeah, only 100,000 units. And actually, if you go down in Wikipedia, even Wikipedia tells you 100,000. CNBC tells you what is it? No. Yeah, all the other news sites, they'll tell you 100,000. And this is like within like a few years instead of a few months, which is kind of sad if you think about it. It's really sad. So why is this? There's only a couple of 100,000 of Japanese people that own an Xbox, as opposed to millions of Japanese that own a Nintendo Switch or a PlayStation. Millions of Japanese. There's 120 million Japanese, and I bet you that at least 30-40% of them own a console. And I'm gonna go ahead and say that at least more than 10 million people own a PlayStation. Probably more. I'm just kind of throwing numbers here in the Japanese population, but just hear me out. So first I'm gonna read this article, and then I'm gonna tell you my experience, learning the Japanese language and the Japanese culture and traveling to Japan last year, and why they don't have an Xbox. So it says, from Forbes.com, it says the real reason why the Xbox continues to fail in Japan. And I'm gonna go over, Japan is very resilient to disruptive business practices. Yes, this is very true. It says, on the whole, disruptive business practices don't go down well in Japan. Business is more formalized and regulated than the Europe and US. Foreign companies have to learn to work within the framework or fail. Good examples of this is Apple, that have worked very hard over the years to build up its brand sympathetically within the expectations of the Japanese market. This is also true for the gaming industry, which has a long history of specified cultures on its own Japanese. And I'm gonna go down here and say where it says this headline: gaming in Japan is closer to toys than movies. And basically what it's saying, that you know how like in America movies are so dominant in America that are closely related to toys. So whatever movie is popular, they're gonna make toys of that movie, right? In Japan, whatever game is popular, they're gonna make toys of that game, right? So let's see. Yeah, so that's pretty much the article. Okay, yeah, so that's pretty much the article. I'm just kind of summing it up. Now, here's my take on it. Japan has always been, even in the hundreds of years ago, There's a reason why you have countries like the Philippines that there's a reason why you have countries like the Philippines that that were conquered by Spain and other like the British, they conquered England. No, excuse me. The British, they conquered India, and I think it was Hong Kong and other parts of the Asian world. But then eventually, they faded out and the Asians got their lands back, right? Right. So Japan has always been isolated. Japan has always been an isolated country, and it wasn't until the 1800s when, I think, who was it? The Westerners, the British, came and they said, either you open up your country for trade or we will invade you. And the Japanese emperor said, we cannot afford to lose people. These Westerners have some really amazing weapons, so we better open up the country, right? And thus, trade started in Japan. So Japanese companies, the Japanese economy is very self-contained. So if you want to do business in Japan, you have to do it obviously the Japanese way, but also they have to see it as something that's for the long term to the benefit of the Japanese people. Remember, they're homogenous country, and the Japanese are for Japan. Also, one of the main reasons why the Xbox did not make it in Japan is because Japanese people want to spend money on Japanese products and services. Now, that does not mean that they are not going to buy, let's say, an American product or a British product or service. No, they mainly want things that are created and produced in Japan. Okay, the Japanese people. They love their country. They are for their country. As to, let's say, in America, we're so used to just importing everything, importing things from China and other countries that it doesn't really matter, right? But the Japanese, they mainly want to buy Japanese products. So every time Sony creates a product, they'll buy Sony. Instead of getting like a, let's say, an HP laptop, they'll buy what's a Japanese brand? I think it was they'll buy a Sony laptop. Let's just say, I don't know, a Sony. Instead of buying a Samsung or I don't know, a Samsung or an Apple, they will buy, what's a Japanese brand? Shoot, I can't think of anything. Japanese phone brand. Shit. Fuck. Okay. So, yeah, that is just how they are. It's a homogeneous country. And and that's not to say, like, for example, they'll watch some American shows and movies, but they rather watch American Japanese shows and movies. As to some people in other countries, let's say in India, they'll say, oh wow, these American products are so amazing, let's get more of these. And they're giving money to the American companies. But Japan, they love their country so much that they think we have to invest into businesses in our home. That's what they think. Okay, so if you ever wonder why, the Xbox fails in Japan, this is why. This is one of the main reasons, and it's, and also because, Japan already had Sony. They already had the PlayStation and all this, right? And the Nintendo, they came out with a Nintendo, for God's sakes. So when you bring in a new console, it's almost as if they had to like start over, and they have to like also make their games for that new platform. And Japan had the Nintendo for decades, right? They pioneered that shit. And then Microsoft comes out with the Xbox in the 2000s, right? In the 2000s. So it's like they're kind of late to the show, if you know what I mean. Because I guess Xbox is kind of like the first American gaming console in a way. So for them, it was in the early 2000s that the Xbox came out. But then, they're trying to like pitch that idea to Japan, like, hey, here we have a new console, a new gaming platform. You can make games for this platform. And it's like, well, the way that they see it is like, okay, well, we kind of have we have our settled, what's the word? we already have our established gaming companies, you know, our gaming consoles. So I don't see why we need to switch to you all of a sudden. So they kind of just don't see the benefit. And even Japanese gaming companies, they really don't make games for the Xbox unless they sell like millions of copies, and they see that, you know, some of their fans have an Xbox, so maybe they'll make a copy. But then again, it's really not profitable either, because only like what 100,000 Japanese people would have an Xbox, and so what? So let's say only like 10% of them will buy a Final Fantasy game on the Xbox. So it's really not that profitable after all. You know, and again, because Japan makes games for Japanese people first and then to Americans, okay? Until a Japanese company decides to make a game for the Xbox first, so that they can profit off the American market, it's just not gonna happen. And yeah, because that's just how they are. That's just their mentality. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, guys. So that is my explanation as to why the Xbox failed in Japan. And yeah, but tell me what you think. Write it down below in the comment section. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, and hope you like this video. This is Andy Matrix. See you guys later.